Welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host, and today we have a lineup of wonderful guests and hosts. But remember, before we get started with the Impact Show, we continually want to hear from you. You can contact us by email by going to impact@proctors.org, impact@proctors.org, or like us on Facebook. We love when you like us. So go to Facebook, go to Impact Show, and like us on Facebook. Our first segment is hosted by Philip Morris. Philip Morris is the host for the arts segment, and his guest is Robert Gephardt. Robert is a newspaper editor and arts reviewer for a number of newspapers, and this should be very interesting to learn about his work. Let's watch.
Welcome to Impact. I'm Philip Morris, CEO of Proctors, interviewer for the arts segment, and today our guest is Robert Gephardt, the arts reviewer and editor of the Saratogian and the Troy Record, which now are merged. How does that work, Bob?
Well, it's the same company owns both, and they're out of New Jersey, and their business was all small newspapers throughout the state, throughout the country. We also own Paper and Hudson. We now the Berkshire Eagle. So we haven't really merged. What we've done is we've merged our entertainment tabloid that comes out on Thursday. We're still both individually local papers that focus on the community we're in. But since we overlap in the entertainment business, we're taking a regional approach to
That's changed your job quite a bit, I imagine.
Certainly.
Because it certainly feels it from my point of view.
Yeah, well, what happened is we used to, if something was happening at MPAC or something was happening at Russell Sage, that was our priority. Now it's something that would impact the entire community, so whatever it is. But we don't want to lose the focus of what's small either. We have a story coming up on Nakra Dance at the Universal Preservation Hall. I mean, people will drive from Troy to see that. So it is different, but it's a broader approach, which I think reflects a change in our market over the past several years. We are one community. You know that better than anybody.
Well, talk about that. Does the Saratogian and the Troy Record believe that, or is this a business only, or is this part of that transition of the community?
It's a little of everything. It's because we do believe it, but what we have to do is redefine our mission so that our readers also believe it. Mm-hmm. If you think of yourself as a community newspaper, is what's going on at Proctors as important what's going on in the local high school? I mean, that people want to know. So what we have to do is find a way to not neglect the high school students or the local amateur performances, homemade theater or what, but not neglect the fact that next week, you might have a show in here for a week or two, and it's good. 30,000 people care about that. Right. How do we ignore what 30,000 people care about?
So Bob, spend a minute and talk about being a critic. It's a powerful role. It still is, even though the world has changed.
They say it is. I try not to think about that. But how do you want to talk about the power of it, or
think about your what you used to run a building, right? Now you're the critic.
Exactly.
So take both sides of it. What's the impact of that from when you were in a building from?
I at one time I was doing both, and I would sit in a room with a bunch of critics right after I had reviewed something at the Palace, and I would turn and say, "Man, 2 nights ago, you're a bunch of fools, and now you're the smartest guys I know." It's like, where do you come from? My focus is 2 things. One of which is to be honest and let the people know who read your articles how you feel. The other is to be fair and understand that not everybody shares my taste level. So I try to write a review to say, look, this was good, that was good, this wasn't good, that wasn't good. Overall, it didn't work for me. And I hope that the article is written enough to say that if it's a negative, that you might want to see it anyway. Or reverse, if I loved it, I have some pretty esoteric tastes, and not everybody's going to share with that. But I want them to know what I feel, and at the same time, give them enough information, they can make up their own mind.
I think you do a great job at it. I think your reviews are thoughtful. But take it to the next step. What is this whole notion? I mean, what would happen if the reviewers were all gone and the reviews were all gone? Do you have a sense of that? I mean,
they're all wrong?
Yeah, if they were gone. If they were gone.
They're gone. Well, the other part, I hope, is that we are educators too. Is that, you as a presenter, you could say, oh, I can't do this because my audience isn't ready for that. And I think the role of the reviewer helps build that audience so they are ready for the next thing. Help them understand what is good about theater, or what is enjoyable about theater, and what is constructive about theater. So I've been doing this for 30 years. I hope that if somebody's been reading me for that length of time, they are better audience members and are ready to accept things that they might not have been had they not read reviews on a regular basis.
Yeah, I totally agree. So 30 years. Did you expect to be doing this at this point in your life?
My God, no. My God, no. It's just one of those things. It's always been my love, and it's always been my passion. And I was thinking about that driving over here this morning, is that it started by accident as a whim with a little newspaper in Schenectady that some people might remember called Kite. And I started it because I was unhappy with the criticism in the area. Now, 30 years later, I probably have seniority of all the critics, and now I'm the establishment. How did that happen?
How did you get into this to begin with? Were you a performer? Were you?
No, when I went to school at Pace College in New York City, which is right across the street from City Hall.
At a different time than now. Now it's a neighborhood.
Exactly.
Then it was the only thing going.
That
right?
was the only thing going. But it was not far from the village, and I would find myself in Manhattan an awful lot. And the teachers that we had in the liberal arts were from the professions. They were people who would come in and be actors, writers, poets, and artists. And the business community was from Wall Street, what have you. So it was a wonderfully well-balanced education. So I learned an awful lot about the underground arts while going to college, and tasted it and experienced it. Well, moved up here, you got culture shock. It really, I couldn't find a restaurant to go out after going to a play, that kind of a thing. So I took it upon myself to inject myself into the critical community. Did that, as I say, started with Kite. The Knickerbocker News, the evening version of the Hearst papers of the Times Union, asked me to join their staff. I joined their staff for 9 years, and then I sold my soul and came over to work for Proctor's as a marketing director. So what happened is I ended up merging my love of arts and my background. I have a degree in marketing. So I ended up merging those two loves to find my perfect position in the arts, and then ran my own building, as you know.
Yeah, then ran the Palace.
Ran the Palace for 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember how long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
a long time.
so there it was. I'm in the arts. It's a left brain, right brain thing all the time. So it worked out well.
So when you're doing the editing and the weekly arts piece, what are you hoping in the long term you're going to do with this over the next 2 years? Because I see a great opportunity, and I'm certain you do too. So talk about it a little bit.
For the pay
For the paper, as you're doing the edit part, not the criticism part of the arts.
Well, it's
weekly piece.
I go back to the education. When I put together a weekly segment, what I try to do is balance. I want to have a story on theater. I want to have a story on art. I want to have a story on pop music. I want to do that. And at the same time, my ultimate goal is, the goal of this segment is to bring an audience together and to make people understand that we are one audience, that we are not a whole group of communities, and that by going to the Egg, you're not being disloyal but to go to the Palace. And if you go to Curtain Call Theater in Latham, that will entice you to go see Capitol Rep. I just, it's the goal is to make us all understand that art is good for us, art is important for us, and culture is not a bad word.
Have you seen changes, obviously, over the last 25 years? How would you describe them in the cultural scene here?
The audience has grown much more sophisticated. If you told people 30 years ago that you would have a month-long run of a production and charge more than $30 a ticket, even granted the inflation rates of that, people would, it was a minor league town. Let me just say it, I use a sports analogy. It was a minor league town. I think we are now a big league town. I think people not only are willing to pay top price for a good show, they demand a good show and are willing to pay what it's worth. And I think that's the biggest thing, and that's opened the door a lot. Activity, do you have to look any further than this building? I mean, how many spaces do you have going on here? I can remember being at a fundraiser to save the building. Nobody knew what it was going to be. Now look, it's the heart and soul, cultural heart and soul of the Capital District. So yeah, that reflects all the way down the line.
Well, last year, I don't know if you know this, this building had 1,700 events in it
17.
in 1 year.
My goodness.
You know,
Yeah.
that's everything. You know,
Yeah,
that's
no, I didn't
meetings
realize it
and
was
all
that-
kinds of
no.
stuff, but it's kind of amazing.
No, it really is, and they're diverse and they're different, and no one would have believed that if you said that 30 years ago that this building could do that. Everybody would laugh at it. I remember it was a major deal when they brought Annie in for a week. It was like, oh my God, how desperate! You know, what a dangerous thing this is. Will they take Annie for a week?
Now, the papers are hosting something that by the time some people see this segment, it may have passed.
Okay.
But that's okay. I think we should still talk
Yeah.
about, because you have an agenda there. What are you hosting and why?
It's a forum on the arts. It's at Russell Sage College, April 24th at 7 o'clock. We've got 4 distinguished panelists. Marsha White from Saratoga Performing Arts Center, Peter Lesser from the Egg, Susan Scrimshaw, the president of Russell Sage, to talk about that. And who's the 4th person?
Right.
Philip Morris from Proctor, yes, television personality. And so those are the 4 people that we have to date. And what we're going to take a look at, and you and I had discussed roughly, is what's happened to the arts economically over the past several years. The cutbacks, the changes, just go to college, so it's not into ours. Schenectady Community has dropped theater. SUNY has dropped theater. NISTE has left Sage. I mean, how does that impact them now? How do they see what they're going to be 4, 5, 6 years from now? What changes does the entire community have to make to survive? A lot of talk about how bad things have been. Personally, life and everybody else's, when bad things happen, you learn from it. How is that going to make us stronger? And that's basically I want this to be a positive forum about how strong how strong we are now, how stronger we will be in 6, 8, 10 years.
So again, taking the perspective of, some people may be watching this after the results of
Yeah.
this conversation, you and the papers are taking a pretty aggressive approach here to say, we're not just going to look at what people send in, we're not just going to go to shows and review them, we're going to actually be a player in thinking about what all this looks like.
I've always felt a critic is part of the artistic community. And I think the newspapers are the same thing. We have a responsibility to the people who read our pages, and we have that responsibility to elevate the thought and involve them in the process. One of the things my particular quirk about putting things in the paper is I want it to be directive. I don't want to tell people what they missed. I want to tell people what they can enjoy. It's the same thing. I don't want to tell people about the golden days of art and culture in this area. I want to help them form what the golden days ought to come.
Yeah, well, that's a fabulous point of view, Robert. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
So, this is Philip Morris, CEO at Proctor's with Impact, and our guest, Robert Gepfert from the Saratogian and the Troy Record. Thank you. Join us again.